Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and via Skype. Each one of you is welcomed to this live streaming from our studios in Trinidad. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. What happens when fear grips you? What happens when fear grips you? Fear is a mental thing. There are three layers: the body, the mind, the first awareness is always of the body. Deep body feeling, sensitivity, it began with Tantra. Tantra says if you can use your body consciously, the body becomes the vehicle to move to the spirit. If you learn to use your body consciously, it will become the vehicle to move, to take you to the spirit. It is foolish, absolutely idiotic to be against the body. Use the body, the physical consciousness, as a vehicle, and use this energy in such a way that you go beyond. You use vehicles every day in different forms to move from one place to another. Body is the vehicle through which you can move to the spirit. Use your body consciously, and if you have learned to use the body consciously, the body becomes a vehicle to move to the spirit. Move to the spirit. Therefore, it is foolish to be against the body. It is absolutely idiotic to neglect it. The sutra says, stopping the ears. Either you stop it this way or putting your fingers into the ears and pull the rectum or contract it, and then you will enter this sound. Many times you have been contracting the rectum, and sometimes the rectum is released even without your consciousness. You can contract it, then you have to hold it and consciously release it. Do not allow it to release without consciousness when you are doing this. If you suddenly become afraid, that is what normally happens. In fear, suddenly the rectum is released. In fear, rectum is released. You may defecate in fear. You may urinate in fear, and there is no control over it. If a sudden fear grips you, the first thing that happens, your bladder is relaxed. Rectum is relaxed. What happens? In fear, what happens? Fear is a mental thing. So why do you pass urine in fear? Why is the control lost? There must be some deep connection, deep connecting root. Fear happens in the head, in the mind. When you are unafraid, there is no fear. It never happens. The child really has no mental control over his body. No animal controls the urine, bladder or anything. Whenever bladder is full, it is released. No animal controls it, but man has to control it because of necessity. So we force a child to control when he should go to the bathroom and when not. We tell him he has to control. We give timings. So the mind takes over the control of a function which is non-voluntary. That is why it is so difficult to train a child for toilet. It takes months because this is non-voluntary and you are trying to control it. And now psychologists say if we stop toilet training, humanity will improve tremendously. Toilet training is an unnatural process. With toilet training, the first impression of the child and its natural spontaneity it affects. Toilet training is the beginning of repression and its natural spontaneity. But it seems difficult to listen to these psychologists. We cannot listen to them because then the children will create many problems. We have to train them out of necessity. Only a very, very rich and affluent society will not try to bother. Poor societies have to manage. We cannot afford. If a child urinates anywhere, we cannot afford it. If he urinates on the sofa, we cannot afford it. So we have to learn to train them. This training, the toilet training, is a mental process, a psychological. Body really has no built-in program for it. Body has no built-in program for it at all. Man is an animal as far as his body is concerned, and the body knows no culture, no society. That is why when you are in deep fear, the control mechanism that you have imposed on the body is relaxed. You are not in control. You are thrown off the control. You can control only in normal conditions. In emergencies, you cannot control because for emergencies, you have never been trained. You have only been trained for normal, day-to-day, routine activities. In an emergency, this control is completely lost. Your body starts functioning in its own animal way. But one relationship can be understood. that with a fearless man, this will never happen. Whatever is happening, it is the sign of cowardice. If in fear you urinate or defecate, this shows you are coward. A fearless man will not behave in this way, because a fearless man knows how to take deep breaths. Many times it happens. It happened with me. Normally, before moving out from the place, business or home, when I have to take a 15 to 20 minutes drive, I use the restroom. And sometimes still there is a situation comes when you have the need for the restroom. That time taking the breathing helps in whenever there is fear. If you start deep breathing, the fear vanishes. So his body and the breathing system are relaxed. There is no gap between the breathing system and the body. With the man who is coward, there is a gap between the breathing system and the process of relaxation. Because of that gap, he is always overburdened with urine and defecation. So whenever an emergency comes, that overburdenness has to be thrown. The burden that is there on the bladder has to be thrown. He has to become unburdened. And it has a reason in nature. A coward who is unburdened can escape more easily with his stomach relaxed, can run more easily. A burdened stomach will become a hindrance. So it is helpful for a coward to be relaxed. Let me start this over again with a man, a fearless man. First, if there is fear in you, there is burden on the bladder, you urinate or defecate. This shows the cowardliness or shows that you are coward. A fearless man will not behave in this manner, because fearless man is the one who knows how to take deep breath. His body and the breathing systems are related. Body and the breathing system are directly related, and there is no gap between the body and the breathing system. A man who is coward, there is a gap, and because of this gap, he is always overburdened with urine and defecation. So whenever emergency comes or a situation arises, This overburdenedness, the pressure on the bladder has to be thrown out. He has to unburden himself, and it has a reason in nature. A coward who is unburdened, a coward who is not burdened, can escape more easily with his stomach relaxed. So when the moment the fear grips you and you are coward, you unburden the stomach, and when the stomach is relaxed, he can run more easily. A burdened stomach will become an hindrance, so it is helpful for a coward to be relaxed. Why am I talking about this? I am saying this that you have to be aware of your mental process and the stomach process. The mental process and the stomach process are directly related. Psychologists say that 50 to 90% of your dreams are because of your stomach processes. If you take a very heavy meal, you are bound to have nightmares. That is why it is said, at least 3 hours before you go to sleep, you take your last meals. I make sure that I finish my dinner by 6 o'clock. In certain situations, it may go up to 6:30. And then the next meal or tea is around 5:30 in the morning. The mental process and the stomach process are directly related. Psychologists say 50 to 90% of your dreams are because your stomach process. If you have taken a heavy meal, you are bound to have nightmares. They are not related with the mind. It is just that the heavy stomach creates the nightmares. Many dreams can be created by outside tricks. If you are sleeping, your hands can be crossed on your chest, and immediately you will start dreaming nightmares. The moment you keep your hands crossed onto your chest, you will start dreaming some nightmares. A pillow can be put on your chest, and you will dream that some demon is sitting on your chest and going to kill you. This has been one of the problems. Why is there such burden on the small weight of the pillow? If you are awake, there is no weight. You do not feel anything heavy. But why is that a small pillow placed on your chest while you are sleeping becomes so heavy that as if you have been burdened with a big stone or rock? Why is so much weight felt? The reason is this: when you are aware, when you are awake, your body and mind are not correlated. There is a gap between the body and the mind. You cannot feel the body and its sensitivity. While asleep, this control, the culture, the conditioning vanishes. You have again become a child and your body becomes sensitive. Because of that sensitivity, a small pillow is felt as a rock. It is magnified because of the sensitivity. The sensitivity magnifies it. So body-mind processes are deeply related to one another. And if you know what happens, you can use it. Rectum closed, pulled upwards, contracted, creates a situation in the body in which sound can be felt if present. You will feel a pillar of sound, of silence within the closed space in your body. Close the ears, pull up the rectum, and then remain with what is happening inside you. Just remain in that empty space, the vacant state, which is created by closing the ears and pulling the rectum up, contracting the rectum. Your life energy is moving within. This has no way, there is no way for it to go out. Sounds go out either from the ears or through the rectum. These are the two doors from where the sound can move out. And when the ears are closed, rectum is contracted, there is the two outlets are closed, the sound is not going out. You can feel it more easily. And what will happen when you feel this sound within? With the very phenomena of hearing this inner sound, thoughts dissolve. Just try it any time during the day. Just pull up the rectum and put your fingers in the ears. Press the ears and pull up the rectum. You will feel that your mind has stopped. It will not be functioning. Thoughts have stopped. That constant flow of thought is not there. It is good. And if one does it whenever there is time, in the day, if you do it 5 to 6 times, within 3 or 4 months, you will become an expert in it. And then such a well-being will flow in you. The inner sound, once it is heard, remains with you. Then you can hear it whole day. The market is noisy. The road is noisy, the traffic is noisy, but even in that noise, you have heard the inner sound. You will feel the still small voice that goes on within, and then nothing will disturb you. If you can feel your inner sound, then nothing from the outside can disturb you. You remain silent. Whatsoever happens around you makes no difference. This one has to learn. And this was the second sutra. Closing the ears, pull up the rectum and enter this sound. Once you have learned to hear this sound, thoughts will stop. No disturbance of the outside can make any difference to you. It cannot disturb you. Only this much for this morning. Until tomorrow, take care and do have a pleasant day.